As a previous one as well. She was living with what she referred to as the laziest person in the world, sharing a house, and they wouldn't clean or anything like that. And we said the best thing is to be open, sort out who's cleaning what and stuff like that, and you don't want to be stuck cleaning the house every time because they'll just leave you to it.
Oh yeah, she was like a uni student, wasn't she?
Yeah, we all pay the rent, and I feel like I'm being forgotten about. Um, Sometimes it's good to put your foot down. So she says, your advice on my living situation last year was a big help and helped me convince my best friend to splinter off from the house share. And this year we are much happier in a nice, cleaner apartment. There you go. It's not bad. You know what I mean? Take the person that does the cleaning and live with them. Not bad. Both of them have been living in harmony for about 6 or 7 months now. But recently she has got a new boyfriend, which is no problem as my boyfriend frequently is in the apartment. But her boyfriend seems like a shady character, and after nights out we've come home and he does a lot of drugs in our place, and I've started to suspect him taking things. Last month my iPad disappeared for around 2 weeks and magically turned up back again. Cash converter. Small amounts of cash from takeaways left sitting around the kitchen also disappear. There's no way to prove it, and I don't want her thinking that I'm questioning her man until I get proof. Any advice on what I can do on this situation? The iPad and the 2 weeks is cash converter. You get 2 weeks to go and buy your product back before they sell it.
He pawned that.
Yeah.
What I would do is find the closest one to you, and go in and ask whether they've seen this bloke and what do they pawn.
Yeah.
They might not tell you, but if there's a dodgy company behind the counter, they will.
It's cash converters. You know what I mean? I remember when it's completely off topic. When I was living with my ex, we didn't have a lot of money. I basically lived like a crackhead, and she had a spare TV because we needed the money for like electricity and things. And I was carrying it through the town centre, and a crackhead walked past me and went, "Cash converters?" And I was like, "Yep." And he was like, "Down there," and then walked off. And I was like, "Fuck me."
Mate. That would have been a fucking sign from God to me, bruv. I would have been like, oh, what am I doing?
So yeah, it's a hard one. It's so annoying as well because you just got to a place where everyone's happy and everything like that, and then, well, a crackhead because he's doing drugs in your fucking apartment has now made it.
Yeah, it depends on what drugs they're as well. Probably harder than weed, I'd say. Sounds like.
Yeah, if it was weed, I think she would write weed, right? You wouldn't write drugs.
I feel as though if you've got, in my experience, or like I've never lived with other people other than my wife, but in my experience, I had friendship groups where I'm not going to go too far into it, but things were going missing in the house we used to hang out around. And in my opinion, the person that you suspect it is almost 85%, I would say, the time that the person that it is.
Yeah.
The person that we thought it was and that we ended up falling out with was the person who was stealing from us, basically.
Yeah. Well, how many people are in the place, right? It's like them two, which they chose to live together, and then the boyfriend of hers.
The occasional friends, and then boyfriends.
For 6-7 months, everything was fine, and then obviously someone comes into the house, and things start. My first instinct, right, is that you were living with the woman in the house share. You two have chose to get away and live together, which means that your friendship is probably pretty strong, as it is. So I don't think it would be bad if you don't accuse her, but just say to her, have you seen your partner do anything funny? Because things are going missing. Try and be polite about it. Don't accuse. But I think normally people know, but they're choosing to ignore it because they're in a relationship.
Yeah.
That's what I have done. When my ex took money out of, like I said on here, didn't I? She took my wallet and she took
Yeah,
money
she
out of
stole your wallet and then took
her
money out and
bank.
then said it wasn't her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I phoned my bank and got the money back because she knew they would give me the money back, and I still did it. So I'm pretty certain that if your iPad was gone, she knew that it was gone and just ignored it.
Yeah, that's a good point. And because they were borrowing it because it was fucking pawned at the time,
Yeah,
whether she knew at the time or whether when, because obviously you'd be like, oh, have you seen my iPad? You're looking around for it, etc., etc.
yeah,
And then she's clocked that her boyfriend's nabbed it, and then almost has gone like to him, what have you done with it? And he's like said, oh, I've pawned it. She was like, you've got a week and it come back or whatever.
yeah. Or she gave him the money to go get it back.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah, I just think it's fucking. It's a sticky situation, but at the same time, as Dan said, like, if you've got a good enough relationship, don't go out and gaslight the guy, but just say, have you started to notice things are going a little bit ski-whiff lately? Why is all this stuff going missing? And if you don't want to directly say it, wait for the next thing to go missing, and then really make a big deal out of it, and then next time something goes missing after that, make a real big deal out of it. And then she'll start to realise that herself what's going on.
Yeah, it's hard to because normally we would say, "Oh, go up and just own up about it," but you are right. Like, it's hard when you're living with someone. I've done it many times, but normally the best policy is to talk to them. The whole going behind their back or anything like that, or trying to put cameras in, or doing little
That's
plans for them
work.
to steal stuff. Yeah, so it's hard. But the best thing is to talk to her, and just lay everything on the table. It's been worked before with the house and the cleaning, so you have that mutual respect between each other. Living together, it's one of the hardest things is living with a friend. I could live with a partner and stuff like that, but living with a friend is so fucking difficult. I would never do it again. I'd never do it again.
Not unless it was forced upon you, Dan.
Well, there's that. Well, no, I'll just go back home because Mum would always take me back. Hopefully you get it sorted out. That's the problem with partners and things like that, especially you don't know who they are. I don't want to say anything about the drugs because I'm quite biased. I've said before about my ex and stuff, and that's just like a red flag for me now. It doesn't bother me people doing it and stuff like that, but I try and stay away from it. It's you know what I mean, bad experience ruins it for the rest.
I think if it's me personally, I wouldn't be able to. Say if me and Dan was living together, back a year into our friendship, 2 years into our friendship, I thought Dan's girlfriend was stealing. The transition between me knowing something and accusing someone would be very quick, and then once I've accused someone, I would be like saying to Dan, I think your missus is nicking something from the house. I wouldn't be able to hold it in. Yeah. Otherwise, I'd just be weird, and Dan would know I'm being weird with him.
Yeah, yeah, for
it
sure.
Would be. I'm quite. I wouldn't say I'm confrontational, but I can't hold things in.
But no one's that. Like I said, no one's that. Especially that it's their partner, because he's only going to be taking stuff when it's when it's them two in the house. You know what I mean? But
or if people have gone to bed or whatever.
Yeah. But even then, she would know that he's gotten up and stuff like that. I don't know. It's just an awkward situation to be in. And I think, even though it's hard to say, because I know it's a hard thing, I think talking to her is just going to save a whole lot of fucking sneaking around. Which then I think if you sneaking around makes it seem like you don't trust her to talk to her about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which would just make things worse. So, speak to her. That's my final thing. I'm going to say... Speak to her and get it sorted. Just you two. You don't have your boyfriend there because that's ganging up. Just you two on your own. Do whatever you're doing and just bring it up. nice and easy.
It
Don't
doesn't need to be an intervention.
no, and it doesn't need to be an argument or anything like that. Even though they'll try and turn it into one, just keep cool, and just put your point across, and you'll get it sorted. And hopefully, he gets the fucking boot.